Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, my husband, male 36, and I, female 35, are high school sweethearts. We got pregnant in high school, dated for a few years after we had our baby, and decided we did want to get married. Through every single up and down, we were there for one another. I honestly didn't think we could have a more perfect relationship. It's something I've been so proud about most of my life. About 4 months ago, my husband asked me to get a job at his company. Before this, I had just been working part-time jobs because we didn't really need the money since we weren't financially responsible for a child anymore. However, we agreed the extra money would be lovely to go towards our family trip funds, something we both and our son added to as often as possible. Our hope being to take a family vacation across Europe for a few months, and we're trying to make it happen sooner than later because our son is recently married. We want them to be able to still go on one trip without worrying about a new baby. Once I got the job, I thought it was such a great decision. I was making quite a bit of extra money and seeing my husband so much more. Well, a couple weeks ago, one of his co-workers approached me and asked how I could be so cool with the ongoing situation. I had no idea what she was talking about, so I asked for more detail, and she told me my husband and one of his co-workers had been having an affair for over a year. Well, honestly, I trust my husband more than this woman I just met. I told him about it that night, and he immediately broke down. He told me he was so sorry, but it was true. He said I'm still the love of his life, but he needs some excitement outside of our relationship. He told me he had been feeling so guilty about it, he asked me to start working there, hoping it would make him want to cheat less. But it's actually just caused them to sneak around more and find their relationship even more hot. I don't know what to do. I'm so humiliated. I feel like I should stick this out because we've been together so long, and I know it would devastate our son. But I don't think I can move on from this. He didn't even apologize, just told me every man needs something new and exciting in a long-term relationship, and that it means nothing. Well, it certainly feels like something. Edit. I was trying to figure out the best way to tell our son. I wanted to sit him down and let him know that my husband and I are getting a divorce. I bought the things to make his favorite meal and invited him over for dinner. Well, a couple hours ago, he called me and was extremely upset. He said that my husband told him I cheated and we were getting a divorce. He begged my son not to tell me, as it would just cause further problems. But my son wanted to know how I could do that to Dad and couldn't stay silent. I told him what actually happened over the phone, and he started crying. I am absolutely furious that my husband put my son through that. Even though he's an adult, it's still a very upsetting topic, and it should have been handled with care, not lies. I found a great divorce lawyer with my friend's help, and I'm getting the ball rolling immediately. His mistress also messaged me after she found out I knew. She said I should be grateful that my husband and I had a good marriage while we did, but she would be taking my place now. I ignored her message and blocked her. I have an amazing support system in place and will be moving out later today. I'm staying with my friend and his wife until I can find a place of my own. I told my husband I was divorcing him and moving out. He broke down and asked how I could do this to our family. He said I'm the one making the decision to end it, and I should be ashamed I would throw away our marriage. He said he couldn't believe I would throw in the towel so quickly. I told him to F off and go cry to his mistress. So now you're all caught up. If any more happens, I might update again. Thank you all again for your kind words and support. You guys have made this a little easier. Wow, what a piece of work. I would go petty and serve him the papers at work and say, I hope that she was worth it, even when you said she means nothing. OP needs a lawyer and a therapist. Also, take her baby and start over. Getting you to work there and then continuing to sneak around is so sad and sadistic. I'm so sorry. No one deserves that. So he made you get a job at his company to make you look stupid. He thought it would stop his cheating, but it made him sneak around more. Him and y'all co-workers some dumpster human beings. Whoever told you about them a real one? Why do they always say you're the love of my life? It's patently absurd. You should not stick this out. Absolutely not. Not only did he cheat for over a year, he brought you into the workplace so he could cheat less, not stop cheating. Cheat less, and cheated even harder. He's a scumbag who won't apologize for ducking some random woman who means nothing, yet who he was willing to risk his marriage to the aforementioned love of his life for. He deserves nothing from you, and you deserve someone who actually cares about you. Someone this cavalier about cheating, I'm willing to bet this isn't the first time. He's still defending himself with utter tripe that, for the record, is complete nonsense. No, most men don't cheat. They just don't. Lawyer up and kick his butt. Update. So I read everyone's comments about reporting my husband and his mistress to HR, and also sleeping with his boss. I did report them to HR, but unfortunately, there isn't anything they can really do, because there's not actually any proof. I showed them the texts, but they said unless I had proof of them committing acts on work property, nothing could be done. On one bright side, I guess, I and his mistress found out there had been a lot of others, including some older than her. His oldest affair had been going on for over 5 years. It was just a friend with benefits type situation. It was one of them moms I was on the PTA with, both married and just looking for S apparently. Well, his mistress is just devastated. She cannot believe he could possibly do this to her. She actually reached out to me asking for advice on how to handle everything. Once she realized I blocked her, she had one of our co-workers come and ask me. As for my job, I actually really love it. Duck the two of them. I'm keeping it. I'm good at it, and I enjoy it. I make a livable wage from it. HR did tell me they would transfer me to a different branch, so I'm actually in the process of moving. Not just out of my ex's and I's house, but pretty far away. My ex begged me for a second shot, to honor our vows and the commitment I made. He got very upset when I brought up the fact that he didn't keep his vows. He told me that first and foremost, loyalty should come first, that no matter the mistake, I should stand by his side. I looked at him and told him to miss my ducking ass. That is my favorite thing to come out of this so far. My son believed me 100%, without showing him the messages from the mistress. He cut contact with his dad. Also, to clear up some confusion, my son is 20. He met his girlfriend the first year of college, and they married 2 months ago. Very recent, and part of the reason I was so concerned about the news of his dad and I. So, all in all, I'm moving and starting over, and I have full support from everyone except my parents, who think I should stay and stick it out.
My parents had a vow renewal ceremony this weekend. There were only a few select people invited because of virus. My girlfriend was one of them. A bit of backstory. I'm actually adopted, and my parents are actually my godparents. When I was 13, my birth mom died, and my birth father has been in prison since I was a baby. My parents took me, and since I've always been so close to them, I was slowly able to accept them as my own. I also have a brother, my parents' bio son, who's about a year older than me and one of my best friends since childhood. My brother is a whole story. He loves to party and was super wild in college. He tamed and matured a ton when he met his, now ex, girlfriend, Sabrina, who he still loves dearly. He cheated on her at a bachelor's party, not his own, and she left him. Even though it was entirely his fault, this broke him, and he still holds on to the hope that he and Sabrina will get back together. This was a little less than 2 years ago. Now, Sabrina is a gorgeous girl with a heart of gold and a vibrant personality. So basically, I fell for her too, and we've been dating for about 10 months. My brother still doesn't know this. I didn't know how to tell him because every time he sees Sabrina, he's close friends with my parents. He keeps trying to flirt with her and dream about getting her back. I feel guilty about even mentioning her because it turns into this whole convo where he says that he still has her engagement ring, never proposed. The only reason I went ahead with dating Sabrina, though, is that my brother goes through a ton of hookups. On to the am I the a-hole part. My parents invited Sabrina because she's a close friend of theirs too, and even they don't know we're dating. But because of my brother, I lied to my parents that she can't come because of travel restrictions. I told Sabrina the truth and said that I don't want to cause a scene at the renewal when it means so much to my parents. I know my brother is going to blow up if he sees me and Sabrina together, and even if he doesn't find out, he'll flirt with her and start pining over her again. But Sabrina is pissed that we have to hide our relationship and is not talking to me right now. Edit. The reason that I feel scared to tell everyone is that I know that everyone will take my brother's side. My parents sympathized with my brother when Sabrina broke up with him. They were annoyed that he cheated, but he didn't get a lecture or anything. My mom cried with him. I know that my parents will take his side over this. Yes, the a-hole, for everything. Dude, you do not date your sibling's ex. Never. Even less so when he is still pining for her. And when you have the cojones to pull crap like that, you better have the cojones to be honest about it. Generally, dating the same girl as a family member or a friend dated is bound to cause trouble. Doesn't make you an a-hole, though. The issue is you keeping it secret and excluding her. You choose to date someone, knowing your brother had feelings for her. Then you have to deal with the consequences. Not so much for your brother's sake, but for your girlfriend. She doesn't deserve to be excluded. Bro, 10 months ago there was a choice to be made. A relationship with Sabrina or a relationship with your brother. Regardless of your brother's crappy actions, it's also crappy to get with his ex, who he is not over. You chose Sabrina. You don't get to straddle this line. It's not fair to anyone involved. While I agree you shouldn't be causing a scene at the renewal, yes, the a-hole for not disclosing this ASAP and creating this situation to begin with. My fiance and I got engaged a couple months ago, and we've just started planning, and this is a minor issue we're having over the guest list. Basically, we both have kids from previous relationships, both boys, both 8 years old. My son's father isn't in the picture, but his son's mother is. She had some issues with me being her son's stepmom and didn't like me due to some history between us, and has referred to me as the evil stepmother, which my fiance has talked to her about, and she's mostly stopped doing it. Now, we're planning the wedding, and we went online to look at a local venue, and due to everyone having to reschedule weddings, the only decent local venue is booked up literally until September 2022. So we booked the September slot. After booking it, we did the math and we've ended up booking on a transition day. My fiance and his ex transition their son between houses every 2 weeks, and the switch is on Saturday evenings or Sunday mornings. We've booked the wedding for the afternoon on a transitional weekend, and we were planning to go on our honeymoon on Sunday morning and leave the boys with my parents. Fiance has said that as we've booked a transitional weekend by accident, let's invite his ex to the wedding, and when it's over, she can take their son home. He thinks this makes the most sense because it's a nice civil way of having her there without having to worry about the custody transition. However, I don't want her there. She's always really rude to me, and I can just imagine her glaring at me throughout the day. And while it's not like the whole day would be ruined just by her being there, it would take something out of the day for me if my husband's ex-girlfriend sat there seething at me the whole time. He thinks I'm overestimating her anger and exaggerating it, and that it's the more sensible decision, and it would be rude to ask her to come after the reception or the following morning. I think I might be the a-hole because he's right in that it makes more sense for the transition, and I should probably be making more of an effort to get on with her in general. And it seems so bridezilla-y not to invite someone who is going to be a part of my life at least until my stepson is 18, because I don't like her. Am I the a-hole for not wanting her there? Not the a-hole. Never invite an ex to your wedding, unless the both of you have an extremely good relationship with the ex, which you in this case do not. It will be weird and awkward for all involved. And seriously, can't she just change a weekend that is over 2 damn years in the future? I assume that's enough of a heads up to come to an agreement to change dates. Not the a-hole. Also, I honestly doubt she wants to be there either. I mean, would you want to spend the time, energy, and money to watch your ex marry someone else? Not the a-hole. You're completely in the right here. He's putting you in an uncomfortable position to invite his ex-wife because it makes his life easier, and it's so minor to begin with that he's being super unreasonable. There is zero reason for someone's ex to be at their wedding. I would stand your ground here. I, female, have been with John for 11 years. He has 3 children from his previous marriage, 27 female, 23 female, and 20 male. I'll talk about Henry, 20 male. John's old marriage didn't end in the most healthy way, I'd say, and the divorce was a pretty mess. It was a legal battle for custody of the children, as his ex wanted full custody and he wanted 50-50. This was 15 years ago. Apparently, the kids took sides with each parent, the girls with John and Henry with their mother. And even though he spent thousands on family therapy, Henry's relationship with John was never the same after the parents signed their divorce. When I was introduced as a girlfriend by John, 5 years after the divorce, as you can predict, Henry didn't react well, and at first I tried to approach him, but eventually I got tired of getting only spicy and rude comments, leaving him alone. Eventually, the girls asked to move in with my husband, and the judge granted, and I moved in with John after 2 years. So I have a close relationship with them, unlike Henry. As time went on, he stopped coming on weekends, despite John trying very hard. 1 year ago, John said he missed Henry. He hadn't seen him for months, and he barely responded to messages. College. I decided to try to surprise him and called Henry, asking if he would like to come on the X day, John's birthday, to celebrate, and that I would pay for everything. He responded with, "I know you're not capable of having children, but stop trying to make me yours. We're nothing." This upset me a lot because I don't have children, because I had cancer, and he knows it. I told John and he got really mad, and it caused an argument between them. Well, in a few months it will be my wedding, delayed because of the virus. And when it came time to send the invitations, I was very honest with John that I don't feel comfortable with Henry coming to the wedding, and I doubt he would. And if he did, maybe cause confusion, in addition to being sad for what he said to me that day. But I would understand if he called. He agreed for Henry not to go and said he would talk to Henry about it. When Henry and his mother found out, they started texting me saying I was pushing his father away and that it was cruel of me to just have excluded him. I invited the sisters, calling me names, trying to guilt-trip me for being the reason for his estrangement from his father. Their relationship was already out of date well before I met John. I just don't feel comfortable inviting someone who has never made a point of interacting with me and has said hurtful things to me, and that from the beginning was against my relationship with his father, and I didn't force John to do that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, although, as you said, he probably wouldn't have shown up to the wedding anyway. I think there was a small chance he would have shown up and ruined the wedding if he wanted to. I think it's time the ex and Henry and his dad sit down and have a talk that he should be at least civil around you and the family, especially now that he's a grown adult. Not the a-hole. Henry's 20 years old, more than old enough to realize if you treat people like crap, you get excluded for your trouble. That said, this is mostly on his mother. Unless John's secret identity is some sort of an aggressive monster, I highly doubt a 5-year-old would support 100% custody from either parent without someone whispering in their ear about it. It's very likely that Mommy Dearest has been actively poisoning him all these years, as revenge for standing up to her. Your relationship with him isn't going to improve, no matter what you do. Even if you did invite him to your wedding, he's likely to try to ruin it, whether by his mother's instruction or by his own accord. 5 years ago, I went through an early midlife crisis, which resulted in me resigning my office job to chase a career in art and photography. For support, my husband's sister asked me to take pictures at her wedding. There was one picture in particular that I took after the wedding, which was just beautiful. The picture had my son, my husband, his father and mother, my mother and his sister. So I came up with a great idea. Why don't I just paint this and put it up at the house so they can see it at Christmas? It's still a few months away. I'll get it done, right? Wrong. At first I was pumped with enthusiasm, but trying to draw the setting alone was killing that. I started procrastinating and taking my time doing it. I've since returned to my previous job, and this project has become the thing I do when I'm really bored. Early this year, my husband and I were going out for lunch, and at the place, we walked into his ex. Needless to say, it was beyond awkward, but things got a whole lot worse when her son came out of nowhere. He is the spitting image of my husband. She first denied it, but then admitted that she fell pregnant after they had S during a break we took from each other. He told me about it. It would throw our whole dynamic upside down, but my husband and I decided we wanted to be involved in his life. The boys don't really get along, but it's still early days. I finally completed the painting 6 days ago. It felt great. I actually could have finished last year, but when I got to my son, he complained that the picture would make him look childish, so I had to take another picture that I could use for his face. And finally, I painted myself into it. A 6-month project that dragged for 5 years, but the outcome was worth it. It looked stunning, though not perfect. But then I realized my stepson wasn't in it, and there was nowhere to put him because the background was done already. My husband asked me about the painting today, and I told him that I was finished, but that I was worried about the fact that my stepson isn't in it. He then told me to either redraw it, find a way to add him in, or completely scrap the project. There's no way in hell I'm redrawing, and there's also no way I'm going to scrap it. There's nowhere to put him though. I said this to my husband, and he just got angry and told me to do whatever I want. So I put it up in the home office. It's a no-go area for the kids and is usually locked. But he's now even more pissy with me and calling me an a-hole for being inconsiderate. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole in my opinion, as long as the stepson is included in future projects and photos, etc. It's not different in my opinion to having pictures without a younger sibling before it was born. It happens. I'm sure there will be other times where other children aren't included. Not the a-hole. Just take a family photo with your stepson included and put that up too. You worked hard and your project predates the knowledge of your stepson. The kids don't even know about it. Not the a-hole. At the time, he wasn't present in your life or even your photo, and even now there's no need. If he gets closer to you all and becomes a good part of your life, you can always get another photo of you all and draw that. Your husband is being very childish. When my oldest was 17, she got pregnant. She and the father wanted to get married. After much discussion, my wife and I agreed to sign off on it. They originally wanted a huge wedding, but we didn't feel that was appropriate given the circumstances. The baby was coming, and that was that. But this marriage was a formality for things like her going on his insurance. He was 18 and military. Them being able to live on base housing together, etc. We weren't thrilled about her being pregnant and getting married so young. We paid for a church ceremony, their request, and then a very small reception at our house. Us, his parents, their siblings, and a few friends. Keep in mind, for the first few years, we were helping them out a lot financially, so it's not like they got nothing from us. Fast forward 10 years. They're still together and very happy, with 2 more kids. Our middle daughter, 25, is getting married. We offered to give her $15,000 for her wedding. This is a fraction of what we spent over the years on our eldest and grandkids. Middle daughter accepted and is planning a lovely wedding. My oldest is upset and says that we should have given her a big white wedding with all the trimmings. I pointed out that her sister is an adult, who is independent and won't be depending on my wife or myself after marriage. The circumstances are a lot different. She says that we should pay for them to renew their vows, and I said no. I paid for 1 wedding, and again, a lot for the grandkids. Am I being an a-hole? Not the a-hole. Unless you've made a point throughout their lives that each daughter gets the exact same things from you. There is no reasonable reason she should expect to get the same wedding. It also sounds like you spent a similar amount, if not even more, helping to support her family in various ways. It doesn't sound like the second daughter is going to need the same level of financial support as your older daughter did. Not the a-hole. At the time, I'm sure you were more focused on her pregnancy, etc. The wedding wasn't the main focus, the baby was. With your middle daughter, it's a different scenario altogether. You can't compare them. Your oldest should just be grateful for all of the financial help you gave her, not bitter because you didn't throw her a huge elaborate wedding. Not the a-hole, but I may be biased. I don't think 17-year-olds should get married. I'm big on you shouldn't get married if you can't support yourself on your own. Your parents also don't have to pay for your wedding. It's a nice thing to do, but not necessary. From your comments, your oldest sounds entitled. And I'm guessing it's because she didn't actually feel the weight of her actions. You did.